Who doesn't love to talk about sleepers? Today, we're going to be breaking down 5 running backs that you can either trade for the low in Dynasty, you can draft them late in Best Ball, you can get a head start for your redraft leagues. Today, I'm going to break down 5 running backs that I think are good sleeper options going outside the top 10 rounds of underdog ADP. Let me know what you guys think of this. Usually we wait until August to reveal sleepers and breakouts and busts, and we definitely still will do that as we get later in the summer, but figured this time of year there's not a whole lot to talk about. Might be perfect to talk about some superlatives. So let me know if you want to see this for wide receivers and other positions as well. Now let's get into it. All right, before we get into the actual names, I just wanted to showcase the recent sleepers that have hit over the past couple years. You guys can see on the screen 15 running backs that have hit a high win rate in terms of best ball tournaments, and I just wanted to highlight kind of the archetypes of running backs that these guys are so you guys know what makes a good running back sleeper and how we can spot them, because the best indicator of future success is usually history. So 8.3% on the far right column, remember, is the average best ball win rate of any player, because there's 12 people in a league. You are one person. 1 out of 12 is 8.3% chance of winning the league. So anybody that gives you a greater than 8.3% chance means that they were helping your team, giving you some spike weeks. So I put R, P, C, A, or H next to all of these guys' names because they mean something different. So each of the 4 archetypes, R meaning rookie running backs like James Robinson and Antonio Gibson the last couple years. Those guys produce pretty solid win rates. James Robinson actually producing the highest win rate because he had a top 5 season as a rookie. PC means pass catching back. So J.D. McKissick, Cordero Patterson, Jerick McKinnon last year, Nyheim Hines in years past. These guys can give you some good spike weeks as a result of their pass catching ability. And then ambiguous backfields is A, where we really don't know what these players' roles were going into the season. We don't know what the starter's role was, how the backfield was going to shake out in terms of, splitting up the touches and that kind of thing. So ambiguous backfield's also something that we want to be targeting late in drafts. And then H would be handcuffs, right? You guys know when the starter, we know who the starter is. Jonathan Taylor's the lead back for the Colts. Giants lead back is Saquon Barkley. The guy directly behind them is considered their handcuff, and something happens to that running back. Obviously, the guy behind him is probably going to soak up a lot of volume. So today, like I said at the beginning of the video, we're going to look at ADP of 120 or later. So guys going outside the top 10 rounds in underdog ADP right now, because sleepers, in my opinion, need to be going late in drafts. Sleeper running back number 1 is Tyler Allgeier, running back of the Atlanta Falcons. ADP right now, just outside or just inside the top 50 running backs at running back 47. 148 overall is his ADP, so about a 13th round pick or so. He would fit into the handcuff archetype because we know, the Falcons spent a top 10 pick on Bijan Robinson. He is going to get an elite workload. He's going to get everything under the sun. However, the Falcons ran the ball 32 times a game last year, which led the league. 56% of the time they were running the ball, which also led the league. And there's more room in this backfield for another running back to have a small standalone role. And the way I look at Tyler Allgeier is that he might get a 10 to 12 touch per game workload, and obviously he would be a league winner if Bijan Robinson were to get hurt. So we know he's a great player. We know Allgeier can command a big workload. He's a big back. He can run downhill. He ranked 17th in EPA per rush as a rookie last year and was top 10 in PFF rushing grade. And this Falcons offense is extremely conducive to running back success. 5th in adjusted line yards, according to Football Outsiders last year. 1st in PFF run blocking grade, according to PFF, at 83.7. And they were well ahead of everybody else in the league. The second highest team was Baltimore at 77 or whatever. Last year's starters in Tyler Allgeier and Cordero Patterson both ranked 2nd and 5th in rushing DVOA respectively. So both of these guys have a good outlook. Bijan, Allgeier, Cordero Patterson. This is a run-heavy offense, is a run-conducive offense, and Cordero Patterson also, for what it's worth, a decent sleeper. This isn't a bet against Bijan Robinson because if he's healthy, he is going to be the lead back and probably a league winner at that. But Allgeier is likely a flex play even if Bijan is a great option. And if he misses any games, even if he only misses 4 or 5 games, Allgeier is going to return great value in Dynasty on your bench as a running back 4-5 option. Or for best ball teams, I think he's definitely going to have some spike weeks. I think he is basically like the new A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon light. We know that Aaron Jones was the starter for all those years, but A.J. Dillon had the inherent upside if Aaron Jones went down, that he would be a workhorse back or whatever. And even with Aaron Jones being on the field, we saw A.J. Dillon have some spike weeks, have some usable weeks as well. I think the same is kind of true for Tyler Allgeier there in Atlanta. Running back sleeper number 2 is Gus Edwards, running back of the Baltimore Ravens. Running back 57 off the board right now, 185th overall pick. So really, really late rounder, 16th round pick or so. This would definitely fit into the category of an ambiguous backfield because even though I think J.K. Dobbins is the best back in this backfield, let's face it, Gus Edwards is a good running back. He can run. He's been over 5 yards per carry every season of his career, which pretty much only Nick Chubb is putting up that kind of efficiency, including last season when he was coming off of a multi-ligament ACL tear and had every excuse to be very inefficient. There is no clear starter in this backfield, at least as of now. So as much as I believe in Dobbins and I love J.K. Dobbins, this is a good way to hedge that bet against J.K. Dobbins maybe not working out in case I'm wrong, because it wouldn't shock me at all if Gus Edwards punches in 10 touchdowns this year and Dobbins gets hurt again, or Dobbins isn't as involved on the goal line as Gus Edwards. So I actually really like both of these backs at cost. I think Dobbins is a good bet at his cost in the 6th round. I think Gus Edwards is a great bet as a 16th round dart throw. Even if you believe in J.K. Dobbins, I think even if you get 3 or 4 weeks out of Gus Edwards, he will be worth that pick. The best running back picks in the late rounds, in my opinion, are guys that can perform without an injury in their backfield, which Gus Edwards definitely could become the lead ball carrier of that team, plus guys who also have the inherent upside if the starter goes down, that they could be a league winner. And Gus Edwards definitely fits both of those criteria. So sleeper number 3 running back is Chase Brown, running back from the Cincinnati Bengals. I'll definitely keep it brief on his prospect profile because I broke him down in the top 5 sleepers video for rookie drafts. He has an ADP right now of 59th overall in underdog at the running back position, 192nd overall position-wise. So he is like literally the last pick of the draft, 17th round, give or take. And like Gus Edwards, he fits both of the archetypes, like I said, because I believe Joe Mixon is completely washed up. He's inefficient. The team doesn't want him. They're trying to find ways to cut bait with him. And the running back position is a young man's game. The running back touch and age apex video that I broke down a couple months ago, if you want to check it out, you'll recall that the running back point that people fall off is around 1,100 touches and 27 years old. Joe Mixon is over 27 years old, and he has 1,500 career touches, over 1,300 of which are carries. Chase Brown was a top 6 running back in the 2023 NFL draft for me. He does everything well. He's a great athlete. He can contribute as a receiver. He's got good instincts as a runner. He's experienced carrying a big workload on the ground as well. Think about the late round rookie running backs that have hit in recent years. Tyler Allgeier, Dameon Pierce, Ramondre Stevenson, Elijah Mitchell, Khalil Herbert. All of those guys had adequate size, were good on all 3 downs, but not great on all 3 downs, and they had a well-rounded skill set and decent athleticism as well, and that's exactly the type of profile that Chase Brown represents. He has the highest ceiling of anybody on this list because if he outright wins this job, or if Joe Mixon gets traded, or if Joe Mixon gets cut, or if Joe Mixon gets injured, then he could be the starting ball carrier for one of the best offenses in the NFL in the Cincinnati Bengals. And of course, at the very least, he's Joe Mixon's handcuff. And if anything happens to Joe Mixon, he could give you some spike weeks. So I love Chase Brown at the end of drafts as well. Sleeper number 4, running back, also a rookie, Roschon Johnson, running back of the Chicago Bears, running back 48 in ADP right now, 151st overall, going in like the 14th round or so. Chase Brown was my RB6, like I said. Roschon Johnson was my RB5 when it came to rookie drafts and breaking down the NFL draft from a talent standpoint. He's big, he's elusive, he does everything well, and more importantly, he's the best pass-catching back on that team. I think Deontay Foreman's a good runner. I think Khalil Herbert's a good player, but Roschon Johnson is the best pass catcher, and this backfield is wide open. This is the definition of an ambiguous backfield, and yeah, Khalil Herbert's a good player, like I said, but he has never commanded a big workload in his career. There's a reason that David Montgomery was starting ahead of him all of those years. The Bears will run the ball a lot. Justin Fields is going to be a big-time attention drawer for opposing defenses, and I expect every one of these backs to be efficient on a per-touch basis. Roschon Johnson had 21 targets last year at Texas, sharing a backfield, mind you, with Bijan Robinson. That is more targets than Khalil Herbert has ever had in the NFL or in college in any given season. His career high is 16 that he had as a rookie back in 2021 in the NFL. He's bigger for goal line work. He works as a better pass catcher, and he already has hype going towards his favor in training camp to be the starting back by the time the NFL regular season begins, and I guarantee you that will continue. So if I were you, I would run to Underdog Fantasy and get your shares of Roschon Johnson now when he's a 14th round pick instead of an 8th round pick like he'll probably be come August. So of course, when you do so, use the link in the description to get 100% back up to $100. But I think Roschon Johnson is an awesome, awesome bet. late in drafts as a guy that you can use as your RB4, RB5 on your underdog teams. Or hell, if you're a contender, if you're a rebuilder, go out and acquire this guy for a late second round pick. Like, you're probably going to have to pay for him as it currently stands, because he can be good depth for contenders. He's a young running back that could increase in value. I think he is just overall great in all formats right now. Sleeper running back number 5 is Deuce Vaughn, ADP of running back 73, 215th overall. So he's basically going undrafted in underdog drafts. He is a pass catcher archetype. But I really love his situation. For starters, his receiving profile was ironclad coming out of Kansas State. He had a 96th percentile target share. He led the class in yards per team pass attempt as a receiver. He is a great receiving back. Tony Pollard, as much as we think of him as a great receiving back, he's only had a career-high 55 targets, and that actually came last year. And before last year, Zeke had out-targeted him every season of his career. So with Tony Pollard, I expect him to work into the early down ball carrier work, and he's still probably going to get a good amount of pass-catching work as well. But Dak Prescott is getting less mobile every year, it seems, and the Dallas Cowboys will probably still throw at a top 10 rate in the NFL. Deuce Vaughn may be the beneficiary of Zeke and Dalton Schultz no longer being in town as the primary short target in this offense. He's small as hell, I get it, but he's a good player. Imagine dropping like a prime Tariq Cohen in this backfield as the pass-catching back, and tell me that he wouldn't be a good fantasy player. And also, Deuce Vaughn might contribute something on special teams from a best ball perspective as well. So definitely a guy that I am targeting as like the last pick in the draft. So as I mentioned earlier, I hope this helped you guys out. For those of you guys that are competing in dynasty leagues, looking for some depth, for those of you guys that are getting some early prep for your redraft leagues, and of course, if you guys want to take this advice straight into action, head on over to Underdog Fantasy. Get some entries into Best Ball Mania 4 for your chance to win $15 million in total prizes, $3 million to first place, and also be sure to check out their new contest as well called Weekly Winners. With Weekly Winners, it's a different spin on Best Ball where there's a prize pool every single week of the regular season. So there's 17 different prize pools. So instead of, having the best team over the course of the season and then, competing in a tournament style for the fantasy playoffs like Best Ball Mania 4 is, you'll have a chance to win big, up to $20,000 every single week if your players go off a couple times throughout the year. So Weekly Winners, very, very fun. Hopefully you guys get some exposure into that tournament as well. And I was not bullshitting with these players. The reason I chose these 5 players is because these are 5 of my highest 15 exposed running backs on Underdog Fantasy, and most of these guys are not late-round players. So pretty much my 5 highest exposed late-round running backs, 3 of these guys are in my top 5 overall exposure running backs in general, and like I said, the other 2 are in my top 15. So I'm giving you this advice with skin in the game. You guys know I'm not bullshitting you when I tell you to draft these players, because I am personally drafting these players with money on the line. So definitely check that out if you guys are interested. If you have a like down below, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and comment any of your thoughts down below as well. Check out our site for dynasty rankings, best ball rankings, all that good stuff, flockfantasy.com/FSE for all of that. And if you sign up annually right now, you can get a free Dynasty Team Zoom consultation with myself or with Danny. If you're interested, hit the link in the description down below. But with that being said, peace out, and we'll talk to you soon.